Hello, and welcome to another edition of Canadian Immigration Law Updates. My name is Nandi Deterville of Deterville Law Office. In today's updates, I shall be discussing the recent rounds of invitations to apply for permanent residence to Canada, as well as the travel restrictions on discretionary non essential travel. Let's get started, shall we? So, with the rounds of invitations to apply, there have been three over the last 3 weeks. The first being on May 20th, 2021, where Canadian Experience Class candidates, a total number of 1,842 invitations were issued to candidates in that class with a CRS score of 397. That was followed up by another round on May 26th, 2021, to provincial nominee candidates in the pool of express entry candidates. A total number of 500 invitations were issued there, and the lowest CRS score of that person who received that invitation was 713. That was again followed up by a round on May 31st, 2021, where again Canadian Experience Class candidates were chosen. A total number of 5,956 invitations were issued in that round, and there the low score of 380 was the minimum score for the CRS. This is indeed keeping with what we've seen for 2021, where all the rounds have either been for Canadian Experience Class candidates or provincial nominee candidates. And that reflects what we've known about the Canadian government's push to keep immigrants in the country. And so, therefore, the focus has been on people with particular interest in having lived in Canada either via a work permit or study permit, as well as candidates who have been sought out specifically by the individual provinces and territories for that provincial nominee class nomination. So it is an important sort of trend that we're seeing where Canada is indeed very interested in keeping candidates here. And so the focus now becomes how do you get that nomination, that category of express entry profile, and what you would need to do in order to be better able to get that invitation to apply. So, unfortunately, it means that candidates who are outside of Canada and have not had a previous experience in Canada, either as a student or a worker, have been left out of the rounds of invitations so far for the year 2021. And on now to the discretionary, i.e., non essential travel restrictions into Canada. Right now, for all countries, it is in place until June 21st, 2021. It does appear that the Canadian government is paying close attention to perhaps reducing these restrictions. We've seen in the past that the restrictions have been in place for multiple months in advance. But for the last few months, it has been on a month to month basis where the government has been making these decisions as to whether or not certain restrictions are continued or not. So we're still in a position to have these restrictions, and they have been in place since March 18th, 2020. But it's hopeful as rollouts of the vaccines throughout the country and in other countries continue that perhaps the fear that having open borders will, in fact, increase the number of COVID 19 cases in Canada would be reduced, and we will look into perhaps having those restrictions dropped altogether. But for now, June 21st 2021 is the date that everyone has as up until when the current restrictions and extensions, unfortunately, are in place. Thank you so much for joining on today's updates. I do hope the information I provided you was indeed helpful to you and your immigration journey into Canada. Again, I can be reached on my website, www.detervillelaw.com, or on social media, whether it is Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Clubhouse, where I love to have conversations with people on all topics immigration. And I do look forward to having you again on the next episode. Bye for now.